Latest figures from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) put headline inflation at 21.91% in February, an uptick of 0.09% when compared with January figures. Concerned about aggressive inflationary trend in the economy, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria has maintained a tight monetary policy stance to tame it. As the committee prepares to meet next week for the second time this year, we look back at the reasons behind the decisions taken when it raised the benchmark interest rate to 17.5% in January, plus news update from the Apex Bank, all after this break. Stay tuned.
I see. Just hold on in that case. Let me call out my PIN. It is 41...
Uncle, please stop.
Stop what?
You're giving someone else your personal identification number PIN?
Not someone else. It's from my bank.
Please hang up, Uncle. That's a fraudster.
That's not true. But they call out my full name. I am sure this is from my bank.
Uncle, no bank is ever going to call you to ask for your personal identification number PIN, your mobile banking password, or your card verification code, CVC.
But it sounded so genuine.
Yes, hackers and fraudsters always sound genuine. But please, Uncle, don't fall for their bait. Don't respond to any phony emails, text message, SMS, and don't click on any link you're not sure of. Even if they call your date of birth or your BVN, don't give them your security details. If you suspect any issue with your account, please go to your bank.
Oh, I see.
This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Welcome back. We begin with the news. The Central Bank of Nigeria on Monday, 13th of March, directed all deposit money banks operating in the country to comply with the Supreme Court judgment that old 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira banknote remain legal tender. A press release to that effect, signed by the Acting Director, CBN Corporate Communications Department, Dr. Isa Abdul Mumin, stated that the directive was in keeping with the established tradition of obedience to court orders and sustenance of the rule of law principle, which characterizes the operations of the Central Bank of Nigeria as a regulator. Accordingly, the CBN has met with the Bankers Committee and has directed that the old 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira banknotes remain legal tender alongside the redesigned banknotes until the 31st of December 2023. The Apex Bank said it expects all that are concerned to conform accordingly. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. January MPC, has advised other central bankers as well as other financial sector regulators to be more vigilant in their regulatory and supervisory roles to forestall any run on banks in their jurisdictions. Mr. MPC gave the advice Wednesday during the opening ceremony of the 2023 African Central Bank Conference at the Global Leadership Center, Johannesburg, South Africa. Speaking at the two-day event on current global dynamics and specific policy developments in Nigeria to address emerging shocks, the CBN governor advised African central banks to draw lessons from the recent bank failures of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank in the United States, putting in place regulations that will prevent a bank run in their countries. He said regulators must be alive to their responsibilities in ensuring that banks are financially healthy and that depositors' funds are protected. A bank run or run on the bank occurs when many customers withdraw their money from a bank because they believe that the bank may fail in the near future. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria meets next Monday and Tuesday mornings at the bank's headquarters in Abuja. Notice of the 290th MPC meeting was made available Tuesday on the bank's website and social media handles. The Monetary Policy Committee is the highest policymaking committee of the bank with a mandate to review economic and financial conditions in the economy, determine appropriate stance of policy in the short to medium term, and review regularly the CBN monetary policy framework, adopting changes when necessary. The Central Bank of Nigeria's Development Finance Department Lagos office few months back recognized and awarded 3 best farmers who were beneficiaries of its Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund, ACGSF, for their outstanding performances. The Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund was established in 1977. It became operational the following year and has since been consistent in facilitating access to finance for farmers in the country. According to the branch controller, CBN Lagos office, Mr. Godfrey Koyo, who was represented by Assistant Director, Mr. Nnemeka Okanyerioha, a total of 31,666 loans valued at about 6 billion naira were guaranteed under the scheme in the year 2021.
As is customary, today the bank deemed it fit to reward participants who have shown exceptional promise and dedication to growing our agricultural sector despite the numerous challenges faced. The previous year was particularly difficult with businesses trying to recover from the after effects of a global pandemic. This further underscored the importance of a nation's ability to feed itself. It is evidence that our commitment in rebuilding our agricultural might as a nation is crucial, not only for our subsistence, but also our economic relevance on a global scale. These awards are not only a reflection of our commitment to agricultural development, but also in line with our core values as an organization. I said it earlier. As the bank, through the Development Finance Department, continue to design and implement measures to improve food security by facilitating access to finance to the agricultural sector, we are confident that farmers will continue to grow and scale their businesses over time. I heartily congratulate all our awardees today. I'm assured that Nigeria is indeed on its way to solidifying its place as the food basket of Africa and indeed the world.
Speaking off camera on the criteria for selecting the awardees, an official of the central bank listed value addition, number of times a loan has been accessed by a farmer, purpose of the loan, number of workers employed, among others, as the determinants, urging other financial institutions across the country to facilitate access to the Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund for the benefit of farmers and for employment generation. The farmers who expressed gratitude to the CBN for the recognition and cash gifts shared their experiences, noting that opportunities in the agricultural sector are enormous.
I've been accessing microfinance loan for about nine years or thereabout now. But one of the things I looked at was trying to innovate. And I realized that if we're going to go forward as farmers, we're having issues, financial issues because of inflation, access to inputs, that's raw materials and all that. So cost of feed was really rising beyond what we could control and all that. And the middleman was also giving us a bit of a problem because they come to the farm, they buy at the cheapest rate, and then they go outside and go and sell and make all the profit. And the farmers are actually at a disadvantage. So sitting down, I looked at it. During the COVID period, I thought about it. We were burying eggs and, we couldn't sell. Things were really, really bad. And we still had to meet up with payments from banks and all that, So I just thought about it and I said the best thing to do would be to have some value chain involved in this, And I remember all that CBN had talked about trying to encourage people to get into the value chain and all that. So I said to myself, let's go into processing and selling to the end user. That way, if there's any problem, it's directly from our farm to processing to our store. We cannot meet up with the demand in the country, in all sincerity. If you kind of factor in the amount of chickens or poultry product being smuggled into the country, and I can still produce and still find a market, we're nowhere near being able to sustain what people really want here. The difference is the ability to actually produce at a cheaper rate so that there's no need to worry about customs. When the incentive to smuggle is defeated based on the pricing here, nobody's going to go to Benin Republic to go and pick chickens, because it's cheaper for me to actually walk into a farm, pick the chickens or come to my own site where it's already processed, and then you sell to people.
A few years back, the feed that we used to buy about 6,000 is about 12,000, almost double. Yeah, so if you want to feed like 1,000 fishes now, we talk about close to 300,000 to 400,000 or so. And they eat more than human being. So what you give is what garbage in, garbage out. So with the availability of the fund, you'll be able to buy in bulk, and when you buy in wholesale too, at least if it is 200 or 300 on each bag, you are able to gain, because of the wholesale whatever. So that too helps. We'll be able to even have a gain of like 50K, close to 100K on that. So that loan has been able to help to be able to do the production in an expected way.
I've been accessing funds from 2018 till date from the scheme. It helped me bounce back to business, bounce back to farming. I started farming. I got some good breeds of the pigs again, and my farm started developing. So far, it has been good, I can say. When the CBN visited the farm, they saw improvements. They saw growth in the aspect of the pig. I have so many in the farm right now. Then the snail that I've put in place is doing very well. It's wonderful. And not only that, I train young women and men into the business. A lot of them have gone to start up their own snail farms because it's something you can do anywhere you have space. It doesn't have odor, it doesn't smell, it's not stressful. I teach you how to incubate the eggs. I teach you how to make them grow. I teach you how to formulate the feeds. I teach you how to watch out for the pests and their diseases. If you know all these things, you are good.
Nigeria is a rich nation of green land, rich resources, countless crops and commodities sufficient to feed and provide a means of livelihood for her teeming population. Chin up, Nigeria, the giant of Africa. Exciting times are here. We can be self-reliant and grow our economy if we work together to explore our potential. It takes a whole nation. Let us get involved. Buy Nigerian to grow Nigeria.
Thank you for staying tuned. This is From the CBN, a weekly program that brings to you reports and expert analysis of the actions, policies, events, and economic initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. From Monday 20th of March to Tuesday the 21st, the CBN Monetary Policy Committee will hold its statutory bi-monthly meeting to review global and domestic economic environments. At the meeting, benchmark interest rate will be determined and economic forecast for the year will be made. In the meantime, let's bring back excerpt from the presentation of the January MPC meeting communique for insights. All 12 members of the CBN Monetary Policy Committee who were at the meeting agreed that the monetary policy rate should be further tightened, but at varying basis points. Chairman of the committee and Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, said that optimism for a rebounding global output recovery has waned considerably, giving room for increased concerns of a likely global recession this year.
The committee noted with concern the growing evidence of increased militarization of the war in Ukraine and the consequence of a prolonged war on the recovery of the global economy. It also noted the renewed concern of the possibility of yet another pandemic reverberating the global economy in 2023 as infection rates rise in China following its lifting of COVID-19 restrictions. Two factors alongside the tightening of global financial conditions associated with the ongoing normalization of monetary policy in the advanced economies remain major headwinds to global economic growth. The combined impact of these shocks on the global economy could result in further disruptions to commodity and energy markets, as well as the efficient functioning of global supply chains. In the global financial markets, the continued normalization of monetary policy has led to the tightening of external financial conditions and increased volatility in equities market. With the increased fears of a likely global recession in 2023, investors have commenced a move towards safe haven assets such as gold and silver to safeguard their portfolios.
In the domestic economy, however, positive growth had been recorded for 8 consecutive quarters, driven largely by the support given to the growth-enhancing sectors by both monetary and fiscal authorities. Projections showed that output growth recovery is expected to continue reasonably in the year.
Star projections showed that output growth recovery is expected to continue reasonably in 2023, given the expected sustained positive performance during the fourth quarter of 2022 and steady rebound in economic activities. MPC welcomed the moderation in inflation following 10 consecutive months of uptick as headline inflation year-on-year declined marginally to 21.34% in December 2022 from 21.47% in November 2022. Month-on-month headline inflation, however, increased to 1.71% in December 2022 from 1.39% in the preceding month due to a rise in consumer spending during the festive period.
MPC reviewed the performance of the bank's various interventions aimed at stimulating production and productivity across major sectors. Under the 100 for 100 policy on production and productivity, PPP for instance, in the quarter under review, the bank disbursed about 21 billion naira to 9 projects in healthcare, manufacturing, and services.
In October 2022, under the Anchor Borrowers program, the bank disbursed 41 billion naira to several agricultural projects, bringing cumulative disbursement under that program to 1.067 trillion naira, to over 4.6 million smallholder farmers cultivating or rearing 21 commodities across the country. The bank also released 300 million naira to finance large-scale agricultural projects under the Commercial Agricultural Credit Scheme (CACS), bringing total disbursements under the scheme to 745 billion naira for 680 projects in agro-production and agro-processing. In addition, the bank released a sum of 48.3 billion naira under its 1 trillion naira real sector facility to 7 new real sector projects in agriculture, manufacturing, and services. Cumulative disbursements under the real sector facility currently stands at 2.15 trillion naira, disbursed to 437 projects across the country, comprising 240 manufacturing, 91 in agriculture, 93 in services, and 13 mining sector projects. The bank released 4 billion naira under the intervention facility for the National Gas Expansion Program to promote the adoption of compressed natural gas as the preferred fuel for transportation and liquefied petroleum gas as the preferred cooking fuel. In the SME sector, the bank supported entrepreneurship development with the disbursement of the sum of 1.3 billion naira and 10 million naira under the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprise Scheme and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development Fund, respectively, to support entrepreneurship development in the country, bringing total disbursements under the interventions to 150 billion naira and 96 billion naira, respectively, under the Export Facilitation Initiative. The bank export-oriented projects with a sum of 5.34 billion naira, bringing the cumulative disbursements under the intervention to 44.58 billion naira.
Going by available data and forecasts for key macroeconomic indicators for Nigeria, the economy is projected to grow through 2023 but at a subdued pace.
The continued high level of insecurity, perennial scarcity of petroleum motor spirit PMS, and high cost of other energy sources, increased spending towards the 2023 general election, rising cost of debt servicing, and deteriorating fiscal balances remain the key sources of shocks to the Nigerian economy. Accordingly, the economy is forecast to grow in 2023 by 2.88% by the CBN estimate, 4.2% federal government estimate, and 3% by the IMF estimate.
Deliberating on its monetary policy decision, the committee was reluctant to consider a hold option, as that will signal a quick adjustment due to a one-time marginal decline in inflation and may suggest a weak confidence in its previous policy stance at taming inflation.
The dilemma at this meeting was whether to continue tightening aggressively or moderately. To the committee, a moderate tightening may slow the rate of deceleration in inflation without necessarily hurting output. For those members who felt that an aggressive stance was needed, they were of the view that Nigeria's inflation at a rate above 20% was already a threat to growth and among the highest in the world. To this group of members, aggressively raising the policy rate was paramount to reining in inflation because an aggressive tightening stance will further narrow the negative real interest rate margin. MPC also feels that a tightening stance would signal confidence in the effectiveness of its monetary policy direction to rein in inflation, improve financial system stability, and moderate exchange rate. MPC was of the view that although inflation rate moderated marginally in December, the economy remained confronted with the risk of high inflation with adverse consequences on the general standard of living. The committee therefore decided to sustain the current stance of policy at this point in time to further rein in inflation aggressively. One member voted to increase the MPR by 150 basis points, 4 members by 50 basis points, and 7 members by 100 basis points. In summary, MPC voted to 1. Raise MPR to 17.5%, 2. Retain the asymmetric corridor at plus 100 and minus 700 basis points around the corridor, and 3. Retain the CRR at 2.5%, and 4. Retain the liquidity ratio at 30%.
That's all from the CBN this week. Report on resolved banking issues to the CBN Consumer Protection Department using the email address cpd@cbn.gov.ng. Attach relevant documents. You can call the CBN Contact Center on the phone line +234 700 2255 226. Local call rates may apply. Write to us through the email address from the cbn@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter for updates and to watch uploaded episodes of the program. We invite you to join us again next time. I'm Willie Emisi Dada. Stay safe and bye for now.